For all those who've been frustrated by the continuing need to rent because of the lack of affordable housing, at least the near-term future is looking overall at least as bad as the immediate past. There's a three-part problem: a vicious demand circle, the economics of building, and investors. Vicious demand circle. No one need tell you the person impact of a freakishly disruptive housing market. However, some details about the current dynamics, although it doesn't immediately solve problems, might help in planning and knowing when to shift back to searching for a house, because, if you can afford the fixed rate payment, you'll eventually be ahead of rents that keep rising, even if at a slower. The demand and supply issues go back to the Great Recession in 2008. Millions of homes entered foreclosure, credit seized up like a 25-year-old car with a 2-year-old oil leak, and the housing market tanked when property values collapsed. Those are conditions that make everyone in the house construction and development business go into a panic attack. Not only was it next to impossible to get a mortgage for most people, but construction loans were also incredibly hard to land. Builders went into other areas of work, or, as many did, simply closed shop. Houses were still being built, but nowhere near the volume necessary to keep up a growing population, as had been the normal state of affairs. The same for apartment buildings, by the way. The result, nowhere near enough supply and far too much as years went on. Prices rose, especially after the pandemic when there was a premium on more living, working, and studying space in a home. But even with financial aid to many, millions and millions have lost what seems to have been permanent ground. Wages never kept pace with long-term inflation, which was ridiculously low, because corporations don't want to split profits with workers and make somewhat less themselves. Now demand is way down, just as prices and mortgage rates are up, and that means fewer units available. So prices, while starting to come down somewhat, are still historically astronomical for most people. Economics of building. The lack of demand is one. Pressure on building. Why construct homes if there aren't enough people buying? That will aggravate the problem. As the Census Bureau, which keeps tabs on this question, reported, privately owned housing starts in June 2022 were at a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1,559,000. This is 2.0% +/9.0% below the revised May 2022 estimate of 1,591,000. That isn't an ironclad certainty, as the census followed up that with the following phrase: the 90% confidence interval includes 0.